Hello and welcome to Results Over Rules by APF Coaching. My name is Antonio Puglisi, and this is where we talk all things health and fitness to simplify your routine, lose fat, and get lean. Just you, me, and easy to apply answers to get rid of information overload. Each episode, I'll be giving you simple takeaways with real life examples so you can feel confident in all the work that you're putting in. My goal is to create a consistent space each week where you can level up physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on your health and fitness journey. We are in this together. If you're watching this, you're the kind of person that just wants to simplify your healthy lifestyle. You want to know how to eat for your body, but lose the stubborn fat and keep it off. You want real results, but most importantly, real answers. Even though you're busy and you have other things going on, you are ready to step into your healthiest self and get what you deserve. Let's talk about nutrition for fat loss that actually works long term. The first thing I want to talk about is food quality. Food quality being the food types. I'm a big believer that there are no good and bad foods, but there are foods you want to focus on more to make fat loss easier. This is minimal ingredient, minimally processed, whole, natural ingredient foods. Quality lean proteins, easy to digest carbs, and healthy fats. You also want to make sure you're getting in your vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and these are typically found in these healthier whole foods. For protein, some key examples are lean ground beef, lean ground turkey, lean ground chicken, egg whites, low fat, Greek yogurt, even whey isolate protein powder. Easy to digest carbs include rice, rice cakes, oatmeal, even things like sourdough, fruits, and vegetables. Healthy fats include olive oil, avocado oil, nuts. My experience with this and why this is so important is the first thing you want to do when working towards fat loss is you don't want to try and change everything at once. The biggest thing is you want to work to change the food sources first. Then you can worry about, oh, maybe I'm going to track this, maybe I'm going to do that, and get into more detail. If you try to change the food sources and track at the same time, if you weren't eating super healthy before, it's going to be a bit challenging, stress you out, and that's where most people fail. So the biggest thing you want to do is incorporate more of these foods in an 80-20 split. So let's say you're eating 3 meals a day throughout each day of the week. That comes out to 21 meals over the course of the week. Let's say you eat 80% whole foods. That comes out to about 17 meals a week are those whole foods. So that still leaves you with 4 small snacks, meals, things on a family outing or a social setting that you could still be flexible and have some treats, have something you maybe don't typically eat. This ratio allows your body to get the nutrients it needs, allows your body to get these vitamins, these minerals, these protein, carbs, and fats that are good for you, but it also gives you the ability to have flexibility among those good choices and also have room for treats, family outings, and not feel like you're confined to chicken and rice. The biggest thing to start with, incorporate more of these whole foods in that 80-20 split. 80% whole foods, 20% treats, those quality proteins, quality carbs, quality fats, and start to switch over from more of those unhealthy, super processed, a million ingredients that you can't read. That's how you're going to start to create sustainable and real fat loss. The second thing I want to discuss is food quantity, so how much. So once you've got a good basis on, okay, I've started to make better choices, I'm starting to see more results, I've become a bit more consistent and I want to take it up a notch, this is what you're going to do. The goal at the end of the day is never to be stuck to a strict meal plan. I've eaten intuitively and listened to my body, I've tracked macros, I've done a full-blown, I eat this food at this time, and it's very strict. So once you've gotten a hand on that 80-20 split and you want to take it up a notch, you are going to incorporate macros. Macros stands for macronutrients, and it's where you aim to hit certain numbers throughout the day while still eating those whole foods, but now you're able to track more data, and then data gives you feedback, and feedback allows you to progress further. This is a really good way to keep progress going, maybe when you stall or you kind of want to get a little bit deeper and really maximize your health and fitness journey. So what I'm going to show you is the math as to how you calculate your macros, what macros are, etc. So macros or macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fat. They're the 3 main things you see on a nutrition label when you turn them over. So let's say you see a nutrition label that says this has 10 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of fat. And then you see the total calories. You're probably wondering where that total number comes from. So protein equals 4 calories per gram, carbs equals 4 calories per gram, and fat equals 9 calories per gram. So if you have a food item that is 25 grams of protein, 0 grams of fat, and 0 grams of carbs, it's going to equal 100 total calories. If you have a food item that is 0 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs, and 0 grams of fat, it's also 100 calories. If you have a food item that is 0 grams of protein, 0 grams of carbs, but 10 grams of fat, it is 90 calories. So when you look at the total calories on that label, it's made up from that addition, that multiplication, that math. That's where those numbers come from. And that's what makes up the total calories, the food, the energy that we're intaking. So now if our goal is fat loss, we need our macros, our protein, carb, fat ratio to be set up in a certain way. So not only can we feel satisfied, feel full, but still get the energy and the vitamins and minerals we need to not feel like we're super restricted, but still feel like we're on track. So this is how you're going to calculate your macros for fat loss. And I highly encourage you, if you have something to type on next to you, if you have a pen and a paper, please take note of this in some way. This will save you a lot of time and effort. The first thing I want you to do is take your body weight that you're at now and multiply it by either 14, 15, or 16. 14 if you're very sedentary and work an office or desk job. 15 if you work out a little, but maybe you have a desk job, you get a decent amount of steps, but you're not crazy active. 16 if you're active and you work a super heavy duty job like construction. For the sake of this example, we are going to use 15 right in the middle in somebody that is 200 pounds. So if you take the body weight of 200 pounds and multiply it by 15, you're going to get 3,000. That's 3,000 total daily calories. That's going to be maintenance. Maintenance calories are what you will eat on a day to not gain or lose weight, so your body weight stays exactly the same. But now that we're trying to lose weight, we need to go in a calorie deficit, which means we have to go under the maintenance calories. So like I said, our example of maintenance calories is 3,000. You're going to want to be in a 300 to 500 calorie deficit daily. For the sake of this example, we're going to use 500. Now you're going to take 3,000, subtract 500 and get 2,500 calories. That 2,500 calories is the total daily calories for your calorie deficit. Now we want to calculate protein, the first macro. So for protein, very simple. Take your body weight, multiply it by 1. So for example, 200 pounds, you're going to eat 200 grams of daily protein. And now, because protein is 4 calories per gram, we want to take our daily protein, which is 200 grams, and multiply it by 4. That gives us 800 total daily calories from protein. This will come in handy later. Now we want to calculate our fats. So fats typically could be 25% of your total calories, 30, but for this example, we're going to use 25%. So you're going to take 25% of your total deficit calories, which is 2,500, and multiply it by 0.25. That's going to give you 625. So you have 625 daily calories from fat. Now, how many grams is that? We're going to do it in reverse. You want to take 625, since fat is 9 calories per gram, you're going to take 625 and divide it by 9. 625 divided by 9 is 69 grams of fat. So now you have 69 grams of fat daily. That's the second macro. Now the third macro, everyone's favorite and my favorite, is carbs. Carbs become whatever calories are left. So what we want to do is take our total deficit calories, so 2,500, and subtract it from the protein and fat calories. So that's 2,500 minus 800 from protein minus 625 from fat. That leaves us with 1,075. That is the total amount of calories for carbs. And to get the amount of grams, we're going to take 1,075 and divide it by 4. That leaves us with 268 grams of carbs daily. So to recap, our total daily numbers: calories is 2,500, protein is 200 grams, carbs is 268 grams, and fat is 69 grams. Again, your numbers based on the math will look different, but this is how you're going to create a system where there's more data, where there's more numbers, where you could start to track things and start to track the food that you're eating that'll allow you to reach your fat loss goal. I teach a lot of my clients macros, and it's my overall goal because it doesn't confine you to a strict meal plan that you can't sustain for the rest of your life, but it's also not loose to the sense of, I don't really know what I'm eating, I think I'm on track. It's the fine line that gives you structure with those whole foods, but doesn't make you confined when you have to be flexible or if you want some freedom in how you go about your nutrition. So now that we've talked about the food quality and the food quantity, I want to talk about specific nutrition habits that'll allow you to maximize this. This is important because this will give you that next step up, that once you've gotten down what foods I need to eat, how much, and you're really in a groove. These are these little tweaks that make a big difference that allowed me to lose 20 to 30 pounds, that allowed me to help Joe lose 40 pounds, and the same with Caroline losing almost 50 pounds. The first thing I want to discuss is putting the fork down between bites. It may sound weird, but hear me out. I typically am a fast eater, and I find that I'm just eating, and by the time I realized I was actually having a meal, the food's gone. So one key thing you could do to not only allow your body to just be mindful to really receive the food the right way is after you take a bite, put your fork down. If your fork or your spoon is right in front of you, it's easy to go down and scoop again. It's easy to grab again versus there's a delay. Oh, now I want to go eat again. I want to take a bite. I have to grab the utensil, put it in the bowl or the plate. And that delay will allow you to be mindful while you're eating. It'll also allow you to get full in a reasonable time frame. It'll also give you more of an idea of how much you're actually eating. The second thing I want to discuss is no screen with a meal. If you're the kind of person that eats maybe a bit more mindlessly, or now that you've got a handle on track and you want to take things to the next level, having a screen in front of you is probably the worst thing you could do. You're not focused on the meal in front of you, and you're not being mindful of the food and being able to enjoy it. Health and fitness isn't about just looking good and feeling good and while that stuff's cool, but we want to make sure that the food in front of us is enjoyed, that while we're nourishing ourselves, we're actually enjoying the food that we're putting in our body. That can't be done if there's a screen in front of us and we're being stimulated elsewhere. Getting rid of the screen, whether it's a phone, a tablet, a computer, a TV, will allow you to be mindful and present and will allow you to receive the food better. The third thing is making sure you are not stressed when you eat. This for me is the most important one. When your body is stressed, you are not absorbing the nutrients correctly because you're in fight or flight. When you're in fight or flight, it doesn't matter if you're eating chicken and broccoli, doesn't matter if you're eating salmon and rice, anything healthy, your body will not absorb the nutrients correctly because it's not at a state to do that. You want to be in a rest and digest state. Even if something as simple as if you find you're stressed, but you're maybe kind of hungry or it's like time for you to have a meal, I would highly recommend, even if it's for 5 minutes before, putting your phone away, doing mindful breathing, just taking a second to calm down. Your body will receive the food and absorb the food much better, and you'll look a lot better. You won't feel bloated, you won't feel indigestion, and you will have a much easier time losing the fat and the weight and keeping it off. For example, I have a client of mine, her name is Melissa, and she has a past history of stress eating. And we've really been working to be mindful of these little day-to-day habits, these little day-to-day choices to really help her on her journey. And not only has she lost 25 pounds so far, but she's also down 12 inches across her body because these little tweaks, they make a difference. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to share it with a friend or family member that this may be helpful to. You could also check out other helpful tips, tricks, and advice on my Instagram page @Puglisi Fitness. With that being said, I hope to see you in the next one.